you begin to actually see how things that seemed disconnected at the time or just seemed like it wasn't going your way, how you're watching God work that out, then it helps to build your confidence when you're going through something now, because you realize, wait a minute, if he sustained me in my 20s and my 30s and even in my teenage years, when I look back and see little things I wrote down and I go, oh my gosh, the Lord was moving even then to derail me into a particular direction. That track record becomes a booster for you in the current things that you're facing in your life. Just to your point, Dad, about building your confidence and your relationship with the Lord before the storm comes, I think one of the ways that people can do that, I know it's been helpful for me, I didn't even realize I was doing it, but actually writing down and keeping a track record of when you see the fingerprints of God in your life. I look back now and realize I was probably just keeping a little journal. I'm not one of those people that journals like every day or, even religiously every week or anything like that. But just when something happens that I see the fingerprints of God opening a door or closing a door that in hindsight I realize was his best plan for me. Or I see something happening where it's just what some would consider ordinary, but there's the traces of God's handiwork just moving things around. I write that down because you won't remember what happened a decade ago. But when you open up this little book, you've scribbled some notes about what God has done. And then you look back and you begin to actually see how things that seemed disconnected at the time or just seemed like it wasn't going your way, how you're watching God work that out. Then it helps to build your confidence when you're going through something now, because you realize, wait a minute, if he sustained me in my 20s and my 30s and even in my teenage years, when I look back and see little things I wrote down and I go, oh my gosh, the Lord was moving even then to derail me into a particular direction. That track record becomes a booster for you in the current things that you're facing in your life. So I've even done that with my sons. I've kept a little journal for each of the boys. I bought a little journal when I started when my oldest was 5. I went to Ross Dress for Less. In the back corner there, they've got these little journals for $5.99. And I've had the same ones for, I guess, now 15 years. And every now and then when I just see just a little hint in a question they've asked or a conversation we've had or some way I can see God working and moving in something he's lined up for them, I write it down because I want to be able to give it to them and say, look, if he did this for you, then when you hit the bumps of life, which we all are, then you can trust him because he's already proven to you that he's going to be faithful.
Yeah. And Jonathan, you mentioned wrestling with God, which we all watched you do firsthand because you are the athlete of the family. Like you do this and then you end up here. You work out and you end up doing better. Like that's just kind of how your mind works. But as we talk about, as we've heard these things that were said, I remember, I think in chapter 9 of the book, you basically talk about getting to the place where you realized that God's answer was yes or yes, and you had to get yourself there. Can you elaborate on that when it comes to?
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about, what Dad is saying in his conditional and unconditional will. Like, we met the conditions, so I'm like, I'm just waiting.
I did it.
The whole time I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah, we all were.
And I'm watching Mommy
yeah.
kind of decline, but I'm like, it's okay, because it's gonna be a greater, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I've done that in my mind, and the effort that we had put forward, just calling on the name of the Lord, and I felt like this was a great opportunity for him.
Yeah.
For God
I put it on him.
Yeah.
God, this is a great opportunity for you now. No, you need to take advantage of this one. This is
That's right.
This is everybody's watching.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got to a place where I really felt was hopeful about it. And when he basically said no, that's how I received it initially. That we did all of this and you just didn't come through.
Right.
You didn't make a way out of no way. You didn't do those things. But then God, in my quiet time, in silence and solitude, I got clarity. Just spending time with God, and he just said, you don't understand my victory. You're complaining because you don't really understand what Jesus Christ has done. It was hard for you to watch your mother die, but how much harder was it to me to watch my son die so your mother can actually live? And when I thought about the life that has been given in his unconditional will, that his unconditional will, even meeting his conditions, was better than what I prayed for, trying to meet his conditional will. You asked for healing, she's got it. You asked her to be with family, she's got it. You asked her to be well taken care of, she's got it. You don't understand. I've given you everything you asked for on a higher level than you asked for it, and you don't understand it because you're a kid. You're not, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with my kids. They just don't get it until they get to a point of maturity where they're able to say, oh, Dad, his will is just best. And now we can do what my mom always said, with my mom, like she's not yours. We can do what our mom always said. Your greatest ministry will come right out of your greatest misery. And keep on going. You know, one of the ways me and Daddy encourage each other, you know, through football is, you know, in football, every player has to retire. It happens every time. And the players that are still on the field are sad, you know, because that's their guy.
Right.
But all you can do is put your head down and keep playing until you retire too. Because you want to hear the coach say the same thing to you that he said to him. Well done. You played hard. Here's your gold jacket. Enjoy retirement. And that's what Mommy's doing. She retired. She's enjoying that retirement in his rest. And we're going to put our heads down. We're going to keep playing hard.
That's great.
All the way to the finish.
Yeah. There are so many things that we had to learn. I mean, I didn't realize, I think Daddy told me this. He thought that when we were going through this, and Mommy thought this too, she would look at me and be like, are you okay? But it wasn't a normal, are you okay? It was kind of like, this is the kid that could fall apart with this much weight on him emotionally. It was that kind of, are you okay? And all the things that we've talked about, all the lessons that I learned along the way, even in the hard moments of my life, I didn't realize were training me for this moment. In the book, I can't remember what chapter, but we tell the story of the Karate Kid, which I won't tell the whole thing now. Priscilla tells it a lot. Do you want to just hit on that real quick? I mean,
well, just that there was a lot of training. I mean, the Karate Kid, you know, the one with Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi
yes,
from the
original, the original one, not this new stuff.
Although that was good too.
Yes,
but the original one, you know, Daniel-san wants training and in karate. So he goes to Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi basically has him managing his house, cleaning cars, painting fences, sanding the floor. And Daniel becomes extremely frustrated. He's like, this is not what I'm here for. Yeah, I came here to train to be able to be excellent at the craft of karate. And so Mr. Miyagi sees his frustration and he starts throwing punches. And Daniel, without thinking about it, begins to block all of these punches and kicks that are coming his direction. He did not know that all of that training that seemed unnecessary and seemed mundane, and just like he was actually accomplishing nothing, in that mundane training was actually everything that he needed to be prepared for the fight. He was learning. He was becoming masterful at the craft. It just didn't look like it in the moment.